Welcome to another episode of The Bug Bite, hosted by your shooty tech coach Ralph, where we're engineered to win. In today's episode of The Bug Bite, we're going to be checking in on the whole ban of TikTok in the United States, where the government passed a law forcing TikTok to be sold to a US-based company from its parent company. And if that is not done by, I think it's like sometime in January, then TikTok will be banned in the United States. It won't be allowed on the app stores. It won't be allowed to be accessed via the interwebs, all of that good stuff. So we're going to do a check and see what's going on. Before we do that, do me a big favor. If it's your first time to the channel, or maybe you've been here for a while, but you haven't subscribed yet, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, help the channel grow, help us get out this amazing content that we're producing every single day. So definitely click on the subscribe button. And I have started offering for free, yes, free, in the Tech Coach Ralph Patreon. You can get access to the sprint reviews that I do with my Tech Barbarian coaching team, so you can get some insight onto what we're building, how it works, how you can get some insight onto sprint reviews. So it's because if you are looking to be in tech, or if you're already in tech, sprint reviews are something that's going to be happening on a regular basis. So start getting familiar with it now. I offer that. I'm sharing that with you for free. TechCoachRalph.dev. Check out what we are offering in there. And if you want to sign up for coaching as well, you have the opportunity as well. So definitely go to TechCoachRalph.dev and we'll go from there, right? But without further ado, let's jump into this TikTok conversation, because people absolutely love TikTok. I see people sharing stuff on TikTok all the time. So I can't even imagine if this ban goes through, or if a company decides to buy it, but they lose the algorithm, then TikTok will never be the same again. All right. So let's jump into it. All right. So this video is going to be about the DOJ weighing in on the TikTok's data collection. So let's just jump right into it. Let's see what they're talking about.
Mike, let's just start by asking, what is new here and what is the latest?
So there are three key points that emerge in this Justice Department filing, and that was the first detailed response to TikTok's effort to overturn this law that was passed in April and signed by President Joe Biden. It requires the company to be sold by its Chinese owners by January 19th. The government has been on the hook to demonstrate further in court why that's necessary. So there were three key points that really emerged. One, you hit it right at the top, is data collection. The company collects a lot of data on its 170 million users. That includes private messages, viewing habits, even users' location. And that is information that is not adequately walled off from China and from China's government, the government contends. Two, we also see
So real quick on that whole point, that the data collection that TikTok does is, number one, every single social media app that we use, there's data collection. The same type of data collection that TikTok is doing. Facebook does it. Instagram does it. YouTube does it. TikTok does it. Whatever other social media that you use, like X does it. So it's in line with every other social media app. Now, the question is, when they say that it's not properly, quote unquote, walled off from China, I would like to have more details on how it's walled off or not. And the question that I also have is the data that is being collected from the US-based social media apps, are those properly walled off from our US government as well? Because is it that the US government just wants to have TikTok in the United States so that they can have that data the same way that they can send a subpoena to Facebook or whoever to get access to our information? Because if I remember correctly, around the time of the last election, there were requests made from, I believe it was the Department of Justice, the same Department of Justice, which is looking to ban TikTok and things like that, to regulate the information that's being said on said social media platforms. So that I wonder, right? And one thing I wondered as well is what is like the data that is on TikTok. It's not like I mean, you could make personal videos on there, but it's mostly just videos. It's not like a Facebook where it has your whole life story on there, you know? So I'm just curious, like, what is the risk of the data that's being on TikTok? I don't know. That's something for us I would be curious to know, right? But let's keep watching.
Government raising the flag of censorship. It says that China could step in to exert control over content on the platform, either censoring or promoting different kind of content that could suit its government's interests. And then 3, we saw the government take on the whole.
So one thing that I'm not crazy about with this argument is that what they believe that China could do or could not do, in the sense of like, if let's say they quote unquote take over the content that is on the platform to push forward propaganda and stuff like that, right? Let's say they were to do that. Here's something that, because we know that Congress is super slow to act, right? But if they were to start pushing propaganda and stuff like that, is it hard to believe that the Senate and the Congress wouldn't take? Is it impossible without them putting extra extra bills and ideas and pork into a new bill, if they just had a one-line bill that said, because China is promoting propaganda on TikTok now, they've taken over TikTok. TikTok is no longer allowed in the United States in the app stores on any ISP as of now. It could be just like that, right? If that was to happen, it could be done in a day. So now, by the end of the week, Apple, Amazon, Google, whoever app providers are there that are out there, they would have to remove TikTok from their platform in order to be in compliance with the U.S. law, as well as ISPs would have to block it. The same way that China blocks a bunch of U.S.-based sites and sites from all over the world, then I guess the U.S. would be practicing the same type of thing, saying ISPs must block access to TikTok from within the United States. All right, so it's the argument of what could happen. There's so many things that could happen, right? We hear it all the time. Oh, what if this person wins the election? This could happen. What if that person wins the election? That could happen. And you know, and a lot of times you say, oh, we're going to do this. And then, you know, let's not get into the elections, right? But I'm just saying that is something that it's for me, it's a pretty weak argument. It is a pretty weak argument.
Question of free speech rights that TikTok has been raising as it challenges this law. We're seeing that TikTok is saying this is unfair, but the U.S. government responded saying that, look, free speech rights do not apply when the algorithm and data are being collected and owned by a foreign power. And that is really one of the key issues at hand here.
I mean, Mike.
So with that, I wonder, is TikTok itself a foreign power, or does the company that owns TikTok is based from a country that has a foreign power? So, because the way that they're making it seem is like there's no, like, to me, the free speech argument from TikTok is kind of weak, because I don't really see it as free speech from TikTok. I see is that free speech of people who are uploading their content to TikTok. But the part of the owning the algorithm and the software for a foreign power, it's a company that is based in a country of a foreign power. But does that mean that China actually owns them? I don't know. The free speech argument is weak, but also the argument the DOJ is making, to me, sounds weak as well. I mean, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but from a technical perspective, it sounds kind of weak that because they're pretty much saying that the parent company of TikTok is owned by China. Right. So I don't know, that seems pretty strange to me. But you know, and like I said earlier, right? If China was to take over the company and start doing, start putting propaganda, how long would it take to ban it? Like, it would take a monumental task for both sides of the aisle in the Senate and in the House to pass this one line legislation that says TikTok is no longer allowed in the United States, period. But if they do that, it would be taken care of just like that, right? So I don't know. The whole argument that the DOJ is making sounds pretty weak to me. But let's keep going.
We'll show the TikTok response, but very quickly summarize it for us.
Well, in brief, they are doubling down on their response that this law violates free speech rights, and it also insists that the government has yet to show adequate evidence of this national security threat that lawmakers talked about, that the Justice Department talked about in the briefing filed on Friday. And to be fair to TikTok's point, so much of that filing from late Friday was redacted. So only the judge in the case will see those arguments made on national security grounds because that information remains classified still.
And that's the part that I really want to know is, what is the national security threat for TikTok being in the United States? Is it the propaganda that they said that might happen? Well, I'm still trying to understand the national security threat that everyone is talking about, that if TikTok is allowed to be in the United States, that'll happen. You know, share the information. Why is it such a risk? It's not like you have to share, like, it's not like I need to know every single detail, but I'm like, I want to know just generally, like, what is the national, because this is what happens so many times. They just tell you something, right? They're like, oh, this could happen. This might happen, but there's no details around it. And they just put so much fear and propaganda into the atmosphere. And you know, and now people are going crazy, and now people are going to start fighting with each other. I just want to know the data. I want to know the why behind it. Like, what is the actual threat? Because here's why I push back around on this so much, because for me, at least, right? And do I use TikTok? No. Do I care for TikTok? No. But it is a technology company in my eyes. And two things, right? TikTok gives a livelihood to many different people in two forms. On one form, there are the people who work for TikTok. I believe most of them are based in Seattle, Washington. So if TikTok says no, there is no chance that we're going to sell our company to the U.S. because the U.S. is 5% of our user base. There's no chance that we're going to sell it. And so now TikTok is banned in the United States. What happens to all those employees? What happens to all those software developers, all those QA engineers, all those product managers, all those marketing people? And that's why I need to know more details before I say, you know what, your job isn't worth it, because there might be something going on with it. China has the location for somebody doing some dance video. China has the username or whatever for someone talking about some nonsense on TikTok. And if it serves me right, it looks like the type of, like, the stuff that TikTok allows on there and doesn't allow on there is like very like liberal stuff anyways. So I don't know. I really don't know. I think a lot of the stuff that is on TikTok, even China wouldn't allow it in China, you know? So that's the part that, okay, it's always very, very shady to me. Like, I'm like, what is the threat that we're, and I think if you would be a little bit more transparent, then I could be more on board with it. The other part is the actual content creators who get these deals, who gets the millions of subscribers or followers, whatever they call them on TikTok, and who make a livelihood for themselves, like from creating content on TikTok, from getting sponsorships and things like that, from getting views, whatever it is, however people make money on TikTok, that is also something that's going to be taken away from millions of people. So thousands of jobs being lost by banning this without a right justification. Just by telling us that it's a national security threat and we're just supposed to buy it. How many times have we heard that, oh, you know, it was just a national security threat, or there are weapons here, or this person did that, or this country did that, and now we are wasting a bunch of money. We're at war and stuff like that. Is it worth it? I don't know. You know, it's so that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to just say we're writing off TikTok, because aspiring athletes post their videos there. People talk about begging or what. I really don't know what they talk about on TikTok, right? But I know that there's employees who have their livelihoods on the line. There are content creators who you're taking a stream of income away from them. So that's why I'm hesitant. I'm not just gonna say, oh, you know, just wipe it out because the government says there might be national security risks. Give me some more details. Sell it to me. Make me believe you, instead of just saying we're doing this for your own good. No, we're all adults here. We're all adults. Now, if China does actually pose a threat, then pass a bill immediately to get rid of it. We don't, like, it doesn't have to take a year and stuff like that. You can even do ban it, disallow it until they sell it, and then allow it back here. But I just don't like. It's like if it was that dangerous, then there wouldn't be a year necessary to sell it. It would have just been, if it was that dangerous, it would have just been banned right away and no fluff about it, right? Anyways, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do me a big favor, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. You know, because I want you to know when I drop new content, and I want you to know when I go live, so we can interact together. We can have a conversation. You can leave me a comment, all that good. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about this. Do you think it is justified for the government to force TikTok to sell or ban it from the United States and have potentially thousands of people lose their job, as well as millions of content creators who might be making a few bucks off posting content on TikTok, to lose that as well? Is it worth it based on potential threats from China? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Leave me a comment. I would love to interact with you. Like I said earlier, in the Tech Coach Ralph Patreon, I am uploading the sprint reviews that I do with my Tech Barbarians. You can access that for free, right? It's totally free. You can access that, and also for a paid membership on the lowest paid tier, I upload the entire Scrum Night that we do. That includes our sprint review, that includes our retrospective, that includes our planning for our next sprint, so that you can have access to that. You can see how things run in the work environment. You can ask questions, you can leave me a comment, and we can interact, all that good stuff in the Patreon. And if you want to do one-on-one coaching, as well as potentially being part of the Tech Barbarians team, where we're building an app, we're going to be building additional apps, things like that, to build some real life experience, go over to techcoachralph.dev, see what we have to offer, and we can work together. We can run it up together, right? But until next time, this has been another episode of the Bug Bite. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are out.